Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Hearthstone deck Spotlight. My name is Tommy Wave, and today we'll be taking a look at Jeleniowaty's Mid-Range Hunter, free-to-play Mid-Range Hunter. This comes to us from Hearthstone, and of course comes to us from Jeleniowatyy, who's one of our favourite content creators. Definitely go check them out over on YouTube, over on Twitch, of course. Always playing very interesting budget decks, as well as bring a couple of spicy things to the table. And this deck, I think, is less on the spicy side and more on just the general goods side. We've seen that these mid-range hunters, hybrid hunters, aggro hunters, face hunters, all variety of hunter decks have been incredibly successful, especially over the last expansion. And what we've got here is a very budget-oriented mid-range hunter. The only card in here that is above rare is Deathstalker Exile, and the only other card in here that's above common is this one Savannah Highmane, and I don't think you even need that Savannah Highmane for this list. In case you haven't seen this type of deck before, it's very much an aggressive deck. We're trying to get on board very early with powerful one-drops like Diamol, Springpaw, and we're trying to hit that with a nice follow-up, a two-drop like Crackling Razormaw to get a sweet Adapt, Scavenging Hyena to make just trading a nightmare for your opponent, and then we really just want to curve out from there. This deck is not one that is playing Master's Call, which I think is where a lot of other hunter decks or similar hunter decks have moved to. Master's Call is an extremely good way to make sure that you always have gas. It essentially lets you play more like a Zoolock, where you just always have minions to drop, always have resources, and it combines extremely well with Dire Frenzy. What people thought was a bit of a meme card has actually turned out to be just one of the most defining cards for Hunter, at least at the moment. But we are not going with anything like that. Instead, we are choosing to play Houndmaster. As it is not a beast, it makes, including this with Master's Call, makes things a bit awkward. But Houndmaster is an excellent follow-up to Bear Shark, makes it a nightmare for any spell-based control deck to deal with. They can't Frostbolt this, they can't Fireball this, they can't, Hero Power it down. So I really like this as a budget alternative to those types of effects. The Master's Call Dire Frenzy. The other thing that I wanted to point out here is Jeleniowatyy has chosen to include 2 copies of Candleshot in the deck, whereas I think most people with this kind of setup would look towards Headhunter's Hatchet, and I think that's a really interesting difference. Candleshot makes your mulligans a bit better because you have more one-drops, so that you kind of keep the pressure on your opponent, and Headhunter's Hatchet does need to be turned on in order to be fully effective. And Candleshot is just as good as Headhunter's Hatchet in a lot of matchups, like Odd Paladin or in these types of mid-range hunter mirrors. But I think that is something we want to keep an eye out for, is the difference between that 2 power, potentially 3 durability versus the Candleshot, especially when we don't have any Hunter's Marks in this deck to pair the Candleshot with. The only other thing I wanted to mention, of course, the lone legendary in here is Deathstalker Exile. It does give us an opportunity to win a lot of these late game matches if we do run out of steam or anything like that. If we do find Deathstalker Exile, we've at least got a chance, because we can always build the perfect beast for each situation. And I like that we've got 2 trackings in here to make sure that we can find it in those situations. We can also use tracking to find extra burn or anything like that, these kill commands towards the later end of the game, if that will kill our opponent. The only thing that I will say is that I don't really like the Savannah Highmane in here if we have 2 trackings. I think we should just rely on Deathstalker Exile as the late game powerhouse, and I don't think Savannah Highmane ever really it rarely finishes a game off. Usually you're going to play it on turn 6, and by that time your opponent has the answers. They can start Siphon Souling, they can start Hellfiring, they can start doing these types of things, and usually pretty low impact. And I think I'd rather have a cheaper card, something that's easier to deploy in the earlier game, to make sure that we are curving out on our opponent. Regardless, I think this deck is a sweet one. We're going to be keeping an eye out on those candle shots, on those trackings and things like that. Hopefully we get some wins, but if not, we'll at least get a final hurrah for this kind of mid-range hunter list before it does lose a whole bunch of pieces, Diamols and Deathstalker Exiles to say the least. So let's go. Alright, here with Jeleniowaty's mid-range hunter. I think we'll keep this Crackling Razormaw. Send the other two back, of course, without our Headhunter's Hatchet. We are actually pretty low on 2-drops, so I think more so than in other situations, I'm more keen on keeping a 2-drop in my opener if I don't have a 1-drop. I think usually I'd be tempted to send the Razor Maul back to guarantee that we do have a 1-drop. We are pretty lucky we did get Rexar. I think Rexar can be pretty important here. Flaming Claws would allow us to start putting some pressure on if our opponent has Blessing of Might. It's pretty bad. Poisonous, not so great. Divine Shield as well, just on this board, is not doing too much. I think I'm going to go for the claws, go for the attack. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have Blessing of Might. Or an unidentified maul on a good mode could be quite good. Ooh. I think we're kind of okay with that. Especially our opponent spent their coin, they didn't hero power. Summon a random Huffer. Might just be able to aggro our opponent out of this game. Especially if they have to take another... That's pretty good. I was going to say, especially if they have to take another chunk of damage. We just want to hope that our opponent maybe goes a bit wider. We can unleash for a bunch of damage. Like, our opponent will die in 5 turns.
Reporting for duty.
Now we just have lethal with kill command hero power, so I think that this was a pretty lucky game on our part that our opponent didn't have the Blessing of Might.
Reporting for duty.
And that our opponent had to rely on a weapon in order to clear our large attack minions.
Reporting for duty.
Ooh. They saw it coming. GG's. Yeah, I think that's not a typical game against Odd Pal, and I think that our opponent might have got a bit jumpy deploying that unidentified maul early, and that if they had gone for a hero power or maybe something else to help build out the board, they might have been able to trade a bit better in that kind of turn 3-4. But still, GG's, well played, and it definitely shows you the power of a good curve.
Tremble before the might of the elves.
Alright, up against a Warlock here. I think we'll keep the 1-2, send back these kill commands. We are on the coin, which is almost entirely the reason that I don't like Timberwolf. We have our Rexar, so could be important. Ooh, no 1-drop from our opponent either. But yeah, I usually don't like I really don't like Timberwolf, just the body is so feeble. The effect is usually not so great. I am a big Jeweled Macaw guy. See what happens here. Opponent, is this a Zoolock with a terrible draw? If our opponent goes like Voodoo Doctor, like Fungal Enchanter, Happy Go, then yes, but...
Stop copying me!
Does look quite zooish. Could fire off and unleash the hounds. I think we'll do that. Just as I get done saying that Timberwolf's effect is rarely relevant, it was in fact super relevant in that situation. Our opponent can't have a charged Spellstone here. They could have a Soulfire.
Why do you call?
Maybe they want to deploy some stuff first.
Someone called.
Alright, how many happy goods do you have?
It's playtime.
One. Alright. So, we might want a flanking strike.
What to do?
I think I want a flanking strike. Or we could, like, Houndmaster, Coin, Candle Shot.
I'll let the dogs out.
Now. Death comes.
The risk here is that our opponent could have, like, ways to heal this. They could trade and then trade here, but I think we'd rather, if that's what they're doing, we should be in a pretty good position. Spellbreaker is also pretty good. Still might see our opponent trade. Yep. And we've got a flanking strike. Just begging to get out. I think we'll keep the 2 charges on the counter there.
How long can this go on? How long can this go on?
Do kind of want to get some more advantage out of our hero power here. Maybe we just go like Bear Shark.
What to do?
Just get a bit more mileage out of the hero power, I should say. Our opponent's on 8. You know, they could have some life drinkers or something like that. We don't want to start, you know, go into Rexar mode and start Rexaring up when, you know, we could also just kill our opponent with 3 hero powers. That's a pretty good one. Good. Because my brain just started melting there. I definitely didn't know how to attack into those minions. Thank you, opponent. You've done us a solid. GG's. It was an interesting one. Our opponent had a very slow start. Very, very slow start. Seems like they were maybe playing a bit of an older version of Zoo Warlock as well, where with Soul Infusion doubling Imp and things like that. Which is definitely my least favorite version of that deck, as it is just so hard to get that mulligan right. Anyway, GG's. Okay, here we are up against a mage. It's a bit of a curious mulligan. I think Spring Pour is a fine 1-drop to keep. Not too keen on Candle Shot up against a mage. But I think Bear Shark might be might be pretty key here. The only issue is that we don't have a 2-drop, and we do only have 4 2-drops in the deck. But I think Bear Shark is important enough that we want to keep it. Ooh, lucky us. Just Diamol off the top, please. Diamol or Houndmaster. No luck. See if our opponent freaks out, coins the hero power. That was tough there. We could have taken plus attack to deal 4, then they hero power and trade in with both. But this gives us another piece on the board. I think these pieces are pretty important at kind of overloading our opponent's hero power. Now we've just got a very large boy. Yeah, that was pretty clutch from our opponent. They setting up a blast wave here. I think we'll go for the Tundra. Ooh. You see those death rays in the chat. Our opponent did not want to play. Jeez. Well, I mean, props to them. I mean, they had the Voodoo Doll, which is a very good out against Bear Shark. One of the few things that they can really do against it, other than, you know, those Blizzard-esque effects. Obviously, they can't play Blizzard in Odd Mage, but I think the Tundra Rhino follow-up, if they were aiming to hit that blast wave, it might have been a bit too much. I mean, next turn we wouldn't have actually done too much. Maybe just like Houndmaster hero power or something like that. The Houndmaster doesn't even get charged, but that was a quick one, very quick one. It definitely shows you how quickly these types of decks can get on top of your opponent. So GG's. As far as what we were talking about before with the candle shot versus other things, I mean, I think the candle shot was actually fantastic. We did get pretty lucky in that we had a 2-drop in every single one of those games. I think you can't really rely on that too much. We also never cast a tracking. We drew the Rexar a bunch though and never played it. So maybe not the most informative games, but as far as like a card selection, but definitely informative games as far as how good these mid-range hunter decks can be. Big shout out to Jeleniowatyy, of course. Please go check them out over on YouTube, over on Twitch. If you are watching on YouTube, of course, all the links are in the description, including a link over to the Hearthstone deck article. Please jump over there, give Jeleniowatyy a +1, leave a lovely, thoughtful comment, like I know you will. All of my links are in the description as well, including link over to Twitch at Tommy_Wave. That's where you can catch me live, watch me miss lethal live. And until next time, stay safe, stay wavy, eat the rich, and stalk death. Bye. I hope you enjoyed that video. Check out other ones over here, or come subscribe to the Wave Pool for more excellent times.